morning on Wednesday, September 13th. It's time for episode 283 of the 359 podcast. I'm BBG, and I pushed the buttons. And in the house, we got Alfred and Ben Fox Rubin. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
We're still standing.
I'm making sure nobody can steal my Face ID now. So.
Oh, very smart.
Alfred is my spirit animal right now. Yesterday was a long day. Good day, but a long day.
So, obviously, we're going to keep it going on Apple coverage because yesterday was such a big day. Today, we want to focus especially on Face ID and what it means for you. So send in as many of your questions as possible about Face ID versus Touch ID, whether you're comfortable about using it, all that other stuff. And at some point, Alfred is going to stop freaking me out with his Cyclops look. We also wanted to mention a new startup called Bodega, which is planning on killing off the corner store. So we're going to get to that at the end of the show.
Bozos.
Yeah, and but you know, to just kind of change it up from the rampant and constant Apple coverage. So that's about it for the start of the show. Let's get to the podcast, and yeah, send in your questions, and we'll get back to you in 4 minutes.
Giving a quick shout out to our San Francisco team, Mr. Maestro Tong, Lexi, Beecham, and the whole crew doing such a kick-ass job yesterday and giving us such good, fruitful content to pick up from and continue on this morning as we keep driving the Apple stake deeper and deeper.
More Apple news.
All right, hang on, everybody. We'll see you in the chat in 3 minutes and 59 seconds from 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Alfred.
So a big topic percolating out of Apple's new iPhone's launches yesterday is the new biometric system called Face ID. It takes the place of the fingerprint sensor in the new iPhone X. Face ID uses a dot projector, infrared camera, and something called a flood illuminator to create.
It's a light.
Okay, to create 30,000 invisible infrared dots on your face to map it, even in the dark, even if you grow a beard, and even if you get wrinkles. So, Alfred, is this better or similar to what we already have out there from Samsung and some of the other folks?
It's like measures better than what Samsung's been offering with its facial recognition. So with Samsung's facial recognition and other facial recognition on Android devices, a lot of it is just using your front-facing camera, and then it like takes a look at your face and pinpoints like several points on it. So like the distance between your eyes, you know, how like long your nose is, like the cheek to cheek, that kind of thing. With this one, it uses infrared. It also uses like 3D scanning. So it's not like a 2D like representation. It's not just taking a photo of you. It's also, you know, taking a look at like the curves on your face. And then it's using infrared, so it's not about the image, it's more about like the dots itself, like the dot scanner that you were talking about.
Right, which makes it harder to actually confuse the system.
Yes.
Because especially with Samsung's system, the second they announced it, they showed that you could basically trick it with just a picture of somebody.
Yeah, and this one's very different because it uses the plotting, and it has a depth sensor, so it knows, you know, it kind of has a more overall scan as opposed to like just your face.
So the other thing that I wanted to get to was that there is a lot of concern about the idea of normalizing facial recognition technology, but we do want to mention to people that this kind of thing isn't actually that new.
Yeah, I think it's going to be normalizing, you know, active facial recognition where, you know, you constantly use it, you know, on your own volition.
And in consumer devices.
Yes, but as far as like facial recognition technology, I'm pretty sure that's already been normalized, you know, in a passive way, where, you know, there's speed cameras out there now that have facial recognition on it. The NYPD uses something similar to that.
And they have for years.
Yeah.
You see it at airports. There was a story that I think came out last month about Walmart that was developing a camera system that would actually be able to use facial recognition software.
For like shoplifters and things like that.
It was actually to find out if customers were unhappy or displeased, whether they're in the checkout line.
Yeah, they had one previously for shoplifters, though, like facial recognition technology on that.
Yeah.
So it's always been there in the background, but now it's like it's now in your hand now and people actively participating in it.
Edward Snowden tweeted out that he said that, look, this is a technology that is sure to get abused at some point. Do you think that people are going to be comfortable using this, or is this going to continue to build as far as people feeling uncomfortable about it?
I think they're going to be comfortable using it on Apple's products because Apple kind of has a lot of these, you know, guarantees with theirs. You know, they have secure enclave on it, so the data is stored on there. In the same way that fingerprint sensors, you know, despite people using it on their phones on their iPhones all the time, it's not like, you know, on their laptops that offer fingerprint readers, which a lot do. You know, they're not using that only that to unlock their devices. So I think it'll lead to you know, a lot of mass adoption for like facial recognition, but I don't know how much on other devices.
We also wanted to get to one other story from Fast Company that came out. It's about 2 former Googlers who want to kill off the corner store with a concept called bodega, which is pretty much a pantry filled with non-perishable items. According to the story, quote, an app will allow you to unlock the box, and cameras powered with computer vision will register what you've picked up, automatically charging your credit card. This is a brilliant idea, isn't it?
I hate this so much. They are absolutely the worst. First of all, you're never gonna kill a bodega, okay? Like
with the name bodega,
and it's absurd. It's basically a vending machine.
This is right, and also CVS has developed a vending machine, which I actually like this idea, where you can get like beauty products, toiletries, over-the-counter medicine. So there is areas for development with this, but maybe bodega isn't exactly the best way to go.
No.
Anyway, if you want to read more about these stories, check us out on CNET. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Alfred Eng.
Thanks for listening.
I don't think they're going to be able to kill the bodega either.
I wish
it's an interesting concept. Maybe it could work in more rural areas, or it could actually kind of supplement in where there aren't as common corner stores. But think about
That's
it.
not where they're looking.
I wish we had.
It's not going to happen here in New York.
I wish
it's
we
not
had
going to happen in major metro
more
areas.
time to talk smack about this on the show, because like there were maybe only like 30 seconds left on the clock when you brought it up, and I was like, there's so many things wrong with this concept. The idea of putting it in a rural area doesn't even make sense, because it's only non-perishable, so it basically does nothing to contribute to ending food deserts.
The areas that they want to focus on are apartment buildings and dorms, and they think that they can, you know, all you have to go down is to the first floor of the lobby to like actually.
But think about the things that the stuff that you need is all like non-perishable stuff. So things like, I don't know, like a bag of chips or pretzels or a Gatorade, a soda. You know what else has that already? Vending machine. So we don't need this like crap box, and it's not
pretty big too.
And the thing is, like, to say that it's going to replace a bodega with vending machine goods, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the way that they're marketing it to say that we want to kill off the corner store or we want to do better is also not a great way to actually build interest.
If they came out saying like, oh, we're going to build like a smart vending machine, sure, go ahead. That's your little venture. I don't care much for vending machines, but to go after something that's like at a heart of a community and a beloved institution of every city out there is like, nah, dude, you're not.
Preach, Alfred Eng.
I hate them.
You get
so
on
much.
that soapbox. Anyway,
protect bodegas at all costs.
Let's get hashtag we love bodegas. Let's get to the questions. Let's see if we got some Face ID stuff also, or if people want to trash bodega, by all means.
All right, jumping in first, our buddy Michael Brown, shout out.
Hey, Michael Brown.
To quickly answer the question of the headline of this video, yes, I would definitely use the Face ID, and I'm going to predict that it will be loved once all of the reviews are out. Michael has very much been a very vocal Apple supporter. He's got a lot of great, fantastic input and critiques of the Apple products. Definitely curious to see who else in the chat is really anticipating good things out of Face ID. Like we said, Touch ID kind of set a new standard. Maybe Face ID could do the same thing. It's too early to tell.
Here's the thing about Face ID, though, is that it's really only going to be on Apple on the iPhone 10. And, you know, I don't think everybody who buys the new iPhone is going to get the iPhone 10.
No.
Because it's
not even close.
It's super expensive. So I really feel like it'll just be like on a high, like, you know, on a very high level of like iPhone users, of people buying it. And sure, they'll use it, but like I don't think it's going to be like a widespread adoption thing yet. And the other thing that I kind of had was interested about is how much of your face or what angle does it need to be at to unlock, you know, because with Touch ID, you know, I'm able to just put my finger on the home button and then like I can look at it like underneath the desk while pretending to pay attention at meetings.
Or podcasts.
Yes. But like with like facial recognition, you know, I feel like I'd have to make like a much more obvious like
They in their demos,
It's unlocked.
in their demos, they make it look fairly natural. The other thing that going back to what Michael was talking about, there's the fact that there's going to be no home button. That's a primary reason why they created Face ID in the first place. It means that anybody that does get the iPhone 10 is going to have to figure out exactly. It's going to be a new learning process how to actually use that, because anybody that does have an iPhone presses that home button pretty regularly to swap between apps, to just basically turn it on.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people talked about that like learning curve without the home button. I really don't think it'll be that hard. It's getting a new device.
Yeah. It's
if I switch to an Android phone,
it'll
like,
probably
I
take a
don't-
couple days.
Yeah.
I just realized too that I think during the podcast I said iPhone X, didn't I?
Whatever.
Again?
You might as well.
Nah, whatever.
All right, back into the chat. Jay Goodwin, I just wanted to bring I love this quote. Today I present to you an overpriced iPhone that will steal both of your kidneys, your right LED, and huge portion of your soul, only for a measly sacrifice of your future mortgage. I just thought that was pretty good
I
writing.
mean, wow. That's pretty solid
That's
right
brutal.
there.
Here's a real question, though. Danny Green, shout out Danny Green. They did not mention being
Danny.
able to use more than one face. Say, if I want my spouse to have quick access to the device with Face ID. They did not mention that.
So with Touch ID, obviously you can use a variety of fingers. I guess it's possible. Face ID would allow for such a thing.
Just
but
got to carry
Yeah,
around.
we'd have to find out first, once we get our hands on it and get to test it a bit more, but I don't know if you're able to register more than one face.
So when we
if
get
you're
the phone in, I'll register it to me, and then I'll list you as my spouse?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be married to this iPhone.
If your
Just
spouse-
something could be said
yeah.
for...
The other way to consider it is that your spouse would just use the PIN, which obviously
Right.
people would, if they're shelling out $1,000, they want to use the Face ID
Or
thing.
don't give your spouse your phone passwords.
You're not married. Disclosure, Alfred's not married.
Just to think, though, I mean, yeah, the
Because it's your
concept of...
phone and you deserve your privacy. I
It's
don't know.
whatever. My wife knows my PIN, but she isn't logged in with like a Touch ID fingerprint. So that's what we do right now. But I think that it might be a bit of a letdown for people if they do spend that much money and realize they can only use one face for that particular
And also,
phone.
just a quick note: you don't have to use Face ID with it. Just because it doesn't have,
Right.
Touch ID anymore, it doesn't mean that
You didn't have to use Touch ID.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I'm going to be using Face ID, but I also don't think I'm spending $1,000 on an iPhone.
I'm just going to make paper masks of everybody in the office so I can steal all your phones.
Nice. Nice. Brian with no face.
Just to think, though, facial recognition, as we said, is not new, but this Face ID is, and we're already thinking, like, what could they do next with it?
I would like to see in a future iPhone that they would bring back Touch ID. I just think people are so used to it after so many years of having it. Why you don't integrate it into the back of the phone, similar to the Google Pixel or the Samsung Galaxy phones. I don't know. I was hoping they would do that, but
Well, there's the
obviously they
idea that,
didn't.
if they're putting it on their phones, it's probably going to end up on a future iPad at some point. And somebody suggested that, maybe, they can do that for MacBooks also, where like you just lift the lid up. I think it's a lot more practical to put on a laptop than it would be on a phone. But
And then they start rolling out the clones once they have all of our likenesses.
Yeah, I think that it is good to like talk about this. It's interesting to see in the tech world how quickly everybody had a knee-jerk reaction to the concept of facial recognition software in a consumer device and how this could be abused, how your information could be stolen. I think that's healthy to a certain extent, but it is good to avoid being too paranoid in realizing that there's a ton of facial recognition software that exists when you go to the airport, when you go to the mall, when you drive down the highway. So let's not ignore the fact that this isn't brand new by any stretch.
It's also good to know that you can turn yourself into a poop emoji when necessary.
Right.
Back into the chat.
Which is really,
When
that's
necessary.
the really important
When
part.
necessary. Watson says, guys, can you give a minute of silence for UK customers? It's okay for you in America doing the podcast to say it's an expensive phone at $1,000, but it works out to $1,327 conversion rate for UK. Yikes.
Yeah, sorry. And hey, Watson. Thanks
Hey,
for
Watson.
coming back. Yeah, it is an expensive phone. There's no two ways about it. But at the same time,
Yikes on bikes.
Apple has created, their premium tier company, and they are pushing up the price of what people can expect for a phone. But they did that with the first iPhone.
How long do you think it'll be before they announce a price drop for it?
Very, very long time from now.
Really?
Because it's going to be super limited for such a long time that they could basically price whatever the hell they want.
What,
There's
like
probably going to be a
year and a
secondary
half?
market.
Yeah, that too.
A year and a half. The secondary market on eBay, I feel pretty confident will probably push up the price even more. So, you know, if you are one of the lucky ones that gets early in line on one of these things, if you want to flip it on eBay and sell it for a couple $100 more, I feel like that's probably pretty likely.
Black market iPhone. Jesse Gademan says,
Hey, Jesse.
what is bodega for international viewers? That's a good point.
Oh,
It's become
thank
such a
you.
commonality slang. It's a convenience store. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
a
the
convenience
corner
store. It's a
store.
corner
Corner
store.
store, convenience store, and it is typically used in the New York area as a term. So thank you very much for the question.
Yeah, good
apparently
point.
it's also used a lot in L.A. So
I mean, they're not uncommon in any major urban area,
right. I mean, like,
but it's just a convenience store.
It's
They're typically
usually-
smaller and
yeah.
just on the corner kind of situations.
and usually a mom and pop, as opposed to, like, you wouldn't typically call like a CVS or a Rite Aid or a Walgreens a bodega. But
right.
I guess,
or like a
I guess it-
Sunoco gas station or
Yeah.
anything like that. They don't count. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
these little, you can go there, get your hot egg
It's like mom
sandwich in
and
the
pop
morning.
shop kind
yeah.
of things.
yeah, mom and pop shop, they're usually
Can of
like,
Barbasol.
It's like if you watch the latest Spider-Man movie, he goes and gets sandwiches from there all the time. That's a bodega.
a perfect representation in major film.
And everybody that
bodega.
watches the show watches Spider-Man, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
good reference.
Staying on the same topic, Imagine Soggy says it's not even a bodega. You can't get hot food from this pantry.
It's
That's a
so
good
true.
Yeah, exactly. You're
And
not,
what's up, Imagine Soggy?
not gonna be able to get an egg and cheese sandwich at 3 a.m. there, yo.
No.
Like,
That, okay, first of all,
generally,
if they figure out the tech for that, I am on board.
No, you do not want vending machine eggs.
Okay, that's true.
But that's everyone's point. Is it's just a vending
It's a
machine.
vending machine,
It's
dude.
nothing that special. It's not going to replace. I mean, yeah, you're getting weirder stuff, but if you look at, just do me a favor, everybody, go back on YouTube after the show and just Google Japanese vending machines. It's an insane
yeah,
market.
I have no
they do
problem.
the coolest stuff. You can get spaghetti
Yeah.
out of a vending machine.
I have no problem with cooler vending machines. I really don't. My
It's definitely not
issue-
going to replace a convenience
My
store.
issue lies that they're going after bodegas. Are you kidding me with that?
I don't disagree with you. For some additional context, Amazon in many ways has been working to not kill off the corner store, but at least wound it or steal a little bit more of its market share. Two of the things that it came out with more recently were the Amazon Go store, where you basically just show up, pick up what you want, and leave without actually having to go to a cashier. And the other one that they mentioned, this was announced, I think, last month. It's called Amazon Instant Pickup, where you can order something on your phone and then pick it up in as little as a couple minutes
Yeah.
at like an Amazon Lockers location.
You know what they didn't say when they, announced those? That they're gonna kill off mom and pop shops.
Correct. Yeah, because like Amazon is smart enough to realize that everybody already looks at them as the big bad wolf, and saying something like that would be so bad. But this startup by 2X Googlers, maybe they need a little bit help with marketing.
Switching gears real quick. Yo Jazz Hey, awesome name.
Great name.
Did you get to try the Apple Watch Series 3? How was the call and text features? They showcased the watch without headphones during the event. We have a couple of videos. Scott Stein
Yeah.
got his hands on the device. We here in New York have not seen it. It will be here soon.
Yeah, we do have some info from Scott on CNET.com about his own initial hands-on impressions with the watch. My initial impressions are it looks a lot like the Series 1 and the Series 2, except for like the red dot on the side.
Yeah.
And, the cellular functionality is really what's the big difference there.
Yeah.
Where you can,
Which is nice, but nothing earth-shattering, in my opinion.
it's people that are in that market are really interested in that. So
Definitely.
they'll probably be able to sell those for folks that are on the market for them.
All right, Josh Boyda, do you think that from now on the iPhone design will follow the 8 or the 10?
Great question.
Very
I
good
was
question.
wondering that myself. I don't know.
I feel
What
like it'll
sets the new
follow the
standard?
10. I feel like for them to not follow that in future phones, it's gonna be going backwards.
Back to the rounded?
So Tim Cook on stage even said, he was like, look, this is the revolutionary phone that's going to set the pace for the next 10 years in phone design. So at the very least,
It wouldn't
he
make
was-
any sense if they had a phone saying, if they said, this phone is going to set the pace for future phones and then not follow it on their own devices.
Yeah.
However, there is a possibility that they would just branch off into two different design directions.
So
where
what, the
they're
next
gonna
phone would
continue-
be 911?
Yo,
Oh, no.
back up.
Back up, dude. Too soon. No, but I think that there is going to continue to be a market for the iPhone 6, iPhone 6S, iPhone 7, iPhone 8, and I don't think that they're going to kill off that entire grouping next year, at least. But maybe in future years, they're going to move closer to the iPhone 10 look.
I think it'll be by next year, but we got a whole year to find out.
Yeah.
All right, coming down, getting short on time here, but we can squeeze a couple more questions in. iSky High, I love this.
Great.
When do y'all think Apple will introduce a projector inside? It's inevitable. I say a small laser projector, set it down, AirPlay the sound, turn off the lights, and let's go party.
Aren't
that
those
would
mods
bring me back to iPhone.
but don't those mods exist on like the Moto phones? Yes,
Yeah,
the Moto phones
it does.
absolutely.
But he
have
says
projectors.
put it in the iPhone.
Johnny Ive would never allow that to happen.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun, but I don't know a lot of people that use the projector for the Moto mod already. So it's not something that I think a lot of people.
There's an
want.
app on the iPhone that lets you strobe the flash.
I can't even imagine Tim Cook like going around like trying to pitch like a projector.
It's called the Boots and Cats.
I mean, I would say either get a Moto phone or the Essential phone might end up having that as a mod at some point down the line, but doesn't seem likely that an iPhone would have that.
Yeah. All right, couple more here. I'm Prodigy says, as time progresses, do you think Apple will take breaks? Will take breakdowns, take breaks down the line when releasing iPhones. Example, not releasing 2018 till 2019 because every year the price will keep going up.
I really do hope they do that. I hope it turns into like a 2-year cycle as opposed to every year. But you know, I think they're gonna have to keep it up to keep up with competition because Samsung's not gonna stop anytime soon. But I do hope that they distance out the releases because then that gives people at least 2 years to save $8,000 for a phone.
Michael Brown is on the same page here. He's asking if it's going to be a 2-year phone or if they're going to update it already next year.
It might make more sense for the super premium iPhone 10 to be on a 2-year cycle, but at the same time, as they increase production on those phones, as they get more of them out in the public and people see them and really want them, I think that they are going to find ways to continue to improve them and have next year be like the iPhone 10.1 or whatever the hell they want to call it.
Yeah. Phoenix got one more question here. Why does wireless charging require third-party companies? I myself was a little surprised by that. That doesn't seem very Apple-y. But then again, in the past, they have worked with Belkin a lot. But I was kind of surprised that they didn't make it super proprietary because that's their MO.
Because Qi is pretty much in every wireless charging thing out there right now. If they wanted to go and add like their own wireless charging thing, they would effectively be shutting themselves out of everything that's out there already. All the wireless charging at airports, cafes, the IKEA's little like bedside stand wireless charging thing that's inside the furniture, so it's not a little whatever.
Yeah,
that's all Qi. Like Qi, like
so they're just hopping on the train.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a consortium. It's a consortium that came to an agreement on what the standard would be, and there were 3 separate consortiums not that long ago, and it looks like Qi won out. So Apple, in many ways, had no other choice but to go with this one. And unlike lightning cables, where they could set the standard for themselves, with wireless charging, this was the direction that they had to go in.
I think it's smart. I'm happy to see that rather than them trying to develop from the
ground up. And they do that all the time.
Because
so
imagine
That's why I was
at like the
surprised.
Starbucks where it's like, okay, this is only for like Qi wireless charging,
people.
and this is for Apple wireless
It's like
charging.
the smoking, non-smoking sections. They would even have like
and
a
then,
velvet
like
rope.
all
section.
these cafes that would have to like replace like their cheese and like put like new spots just for like Apple.
Wait, who's replacing cheese?
No, the argument would be that they would have to because it's Apple.
If Apple.
Oh, I
came
thought
out
Apple
with
was giving us free cheese.
No.
Apple and cheese, man.
Apple slices and cheese. It's your accoutrement. So before we go, let's go over a couple of places where Qi is going to be available. McDonald's is one. Starbucks is another. Where else do you think we're going to see this?
They're already in a bunch of places.
But are we going to see an increase? Do we think that anybody else is going to hop onto this?
Bathrooms.
Yes,
Like
in
the
general,
toilet paper holder, like the little box you like put.
Actually, that's not a terrible idea.
It's not a bad idea. in general, when Apple jumps on board with these kind of things, it does end up, giving it a fresh boost. That did happen with mobile payments with Apple Pay, so I would expect it to happen again, because you can't really see wireless charging in that many places these days. So here's hoping that Apple does help make it a little bit more mainstream than it is right now.
I would love to see that. I hate wires, which is exactly why I became a studio engineer.
Yeah, we hate wires.
All right, that's a perfect place to land it for today.
Yep.
It's been a solid week so far. Ben, you want to bring us home?
All right. The 359 podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, and of course,
CNET.com.
CNET.com. Thanks, everybody. Great questions, as always. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
Later, guys.